I have this reoccurring dream where I'm running towards or away from something, but it feels as though I'm running through water. Something is holding me back, and no matter how hard I try, I'm unable to run fast. I'm stuck in the perpetual motion of wanting to run, but not being able to.
Here it comes.
As children, we ran because the destination was more interesting than the journey. The excitement of getting there was so thrilling that it couldn't be contained. Running made the trip go faster. Walking was something that was for everyday tasks. It was boring, and if you were running, it meant that you were doing something special. Why is it that as we grow up, we slowly lose that joy of running? It becomes something that's associated with mandatory exercise and not playing. I am one of those jaded young adults who no longer understands and knows why people continue to run. Others do, and they run for joy and sport, but I want to know why.
Hi, my name is Kyle Gardner. I'm a personal trainer from Equinox over here at Columbus Circle. I'm also a running coach and a marathoner. This is going to be my second New York City marathon this year in 2017.
Hi, my name is Glenn Redpath. I've been running for a very long time. I ran my first marathon when I was 13 years old, and I've been running ever since. In the last few years I've had a few injuries that I'm still trying to get over. And so, yeah, that's what I do.
I'm Hannah. I'm a student at Fordham University, and I'm a sophomore. I have problems with my hip. I had tendonitis in my hip in high school, and then also I had a stress fracture in my hip because I have FAI, which is familial acetabular impingement. So that means that the ball in the socket doesn't really fit perfectly. So I get injured a lot, very easily. So I have to be very careful with my training, which is one of the reasons I didn't do cross country in college.
I was asked to join this running team, they were a charity for people that had substance abuse issues. So I did that kind of as to kind of give back, I guess, for the community. And at the time I wasn't really interested in it. This was several years ago. And I was I'm not really that good at running, whatever. And I went out and I was wow, this is actually kind of fun. I think I ran I think my first run was 2.5 miles, and I was kind of dying at the end, but I did pretty decent. And then the next time I went out with them, I did I think I did 5 miles, and it just slowly, it actually, not really slowly, it quickly picked up from there. It went really fast.
Running is many things to many people. I mean, I think for some it's strictly fitness. I think for others it's a health, weight loss kind of thing. And for others it's I want to prove something.
This year was really about me trying to see if I can break a 3-hour marathon. And I pretty much that day after November 6th last year, I'm next year I'm going for 3 hours.
In middle school, I started cross country in 8th grade. Yeah, 8th grade. And then I did it all throughout high school, and like I met, like that's where I knew like everybody, like those are my best friends. I did like winter track and spring track, so like running was just like a huge part of just like high school. And then when I came to Fordham, I didn't want to do the cross country team because it's just too much, and so I just run on my own.
I feel like I can solve all the world problems when I'm out there running on my own, whether it's a 30-minute run or a 4-hour run.
I think the first time I remember loving running was probably when I got like my first like runner's high. I don't know, like the runner's high is like kind of real, and I don't know, something about running, after you run you feel really good, and that's when I think probably draws me back to it, you know, every time.
Okay, so I run because like I can run because my grandma, she has this rare disorder where she doesn't have the use of her legs, like it's Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, so she can't run, you know, and I run because like I can run, and like not everybody has that like blessing to run, you know. To me it's a blessing, so that's how I view it.
That's so sweet.
It's something innate. You just do it. It's like, you know, you were born to paint, you're gonna get up every day and create. Or you're an artist, you're gonna create. If you're athletic, you're gonna get up and do something athletic. And I just found my athletic medium is running.
I would describe running as the most natural thing for me because I skipped crawling and walking when I was little. I never crawled, I would roll places. And then I just went straight to standing up and running. So it's just like running is just a natural movement for me.
I've lived in New York City my entire life, and even lived 5 blocks away from the halfway point of the marathon. Watching the race is always so special and gives the laziest of people a feeling of inspiration.
There's a lot that goes into this race. I mean, it is the premier marathon in the world with over 50,000 runners. So it's you want to be a part of it. And if you can't run in it, then you should definitely get involved in some other way. If you love running, because that's what it is. It's all these people coming together who are ultimately just, you know, people that run.
These people run a grueling 26.2 miles and still manage to have smiles on their faces. They push their bodies to limits and test themselves. The marathon brings people all over the world together as athletes and as spectators.
Running is really about knowing your body and knowing its limitations and knowing that you can push it to other levels. And I think I've always had that curiosity of what my body could and could not do. And so I've just pushed it. And I've pushed it beyond where it's hurt and I could barely walk. But I've also had the other experiences where I felt like I'm running and I've rehearsed this and I'm up here with all these wonderful people and I'm just gonna keep running.
So like I run long distance. Like my longest distance I ran like as a date is 16 miles, and so but I really want to run the marathon next year. It's just about getting there, and just it's hard in college, there's things going on and you get sick or just all these setbacks, but it's just I'm always kind of training for something just in case it's there, I'll do a half marathon next week or something because I can. But yeah, I'm not really training anything for right now, but next year I'm gonna do a marathon.
When your heart is beating and you're pounding the pavement and you're looking at your time and you're going fast and you don't really feel you kind of almost don't really feel your body too much. You don't feel pain. So the first 2 miles you might feel pain. You feel oh, this is hard on my body, this hurts a little bit. After 5 miles or whatever, that kind of melts away, and then you feel really good.
This year, I went to the finish line for the first time. It was an experience that allowed me to understand running a little better. Standing 200 meters from the finish line, watching people zoom past, even though they had already run so far, I couldn't help but stare with a cheesy grin on my face. The energy from the surrounding crowd was contagious. Even a man who had been walking started running again.
Well, can you describe the feeling of passing the finish line at the marathon?
Thank God this is over. Yeah, it's freaking brutal. So, like the last 6 miles of the marathon are like excruciating. Yeah, they're just like kind of like you're trying to think of anything else that you can to take your mind off of like the running, because at that point you're just completely whooped. There's nothing. Yeah, you don't have the runner's high anymore. You're like the runner's low. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Back to when I was 13, because I was so young and so small, when I finally crossed the finish line at the marathon that I was running, it was the first year of this marathon, and there was some like 5,000 people running, and there were all these cameras snapping at everybody. And it was funny because the next day it was my picture that made it into the paper, and it was just like, and you could see like tears on me, and I was like, oh, well, I think I was crying for joy, because I didn't think I could actually do this thing, but I wasn't going to let anything stop me, so I just did it. And when they saw me, they're just like, oh my God, this is the smallest person who's come across the line, and he looks like he's probably 6 years old, but I was 13. And so there's that goes into it, and sort of like, you don't forget those kind of things when you're young.
Listening to my interviewees talk so passionately about running and explaining that it's something so many people need in their daily lives allowed me to understand and showed me that we are never too old to be a kid. They all continue to hold on to that childlike wonder for running, and maybe one day I will feel young enough to start running again.
Is it exciting to like hold it and have it?
No, not really. No, you want to know why?
Why?
Because everybody gets one of these.